Okay. All right. All right. Cool. There we are. You look so happy. Uh, so I am interviewing you today. Jenny Hunt is with us. And Jenny is my sister because we thought it would be very apropos to talk about the fact that we need to be emotionally alive and present to do acting, right? The work that I do as an acting teacher, you have to be present with your emotions, but I'm not a therapist. So if something is bringing up something beyond what we can express through the scene, it needs to be really taken care of in therapy. And that's not my realm. So I always recommend people see therapists in addition to the therapeutic work that we do as artists. And it turns out my sister is a therapist, essentially, right, Jenny? Do you want to introduce
Yeah,
yourself and explain a little bit about your story and your journey?
yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Jenny Hunt, and I started Stop the Static Life Coaching because I was a counselor, a therapist for 3 years. And one of the requirements to become a fully licensed counselor was to pass the National Counseling Exam. And I have been a long time sufferer of migraines, which really alter how you think and such. And I was basically 1 point away from passing the exam while having a migraine, which is very fascinating. But the Department of Regulations decided that they weren't going to renew my license or let me proceed further. And because of the laws of Colorado, I am unable to apply again for 3 years. I didn't want my credentials and experience to go to waste, and I love helping people and working with people. So I know with all my credentials, I'm able to be a life coach. And so here we are today.
Yeah. And that's what, thank you, because I forgot, as you were saying, I was like, I forgot to mention that you started this whole series on your YouTube channel of making lemonade. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? And
Mhm.
so how to like take about a quote unquote bad situation, because like Shakespeare says, there is no good or bad, only thinking that makes it so. Taking that situation and making lemonade out of it, which I love
Mhm.
because I always tell all of my clients and everybody in, my acting programs that it's not a lack of talent often that people don't succeed. It's just that they stop. They just stop because they this problem and that problem, this problem, and the person who just keeps figuring out, and like our dad always said, the person who just keeps on keeping on and just figures out a way when there seems like there's no way is a person that succeeds. And that's not always easy. And that's the part that takes courage to keep following that path, especially when things are hard, especially when it's like, wait, that wasn't supposed to go that way. Like that wasn't my plan. I planned to pass the exam. I wasn't supposed to have a migraine. But what do you do when life throws you curveballs? So I mean, I think that actually gives you a bigger testimony as a therapist, but maybe the head or the ego might tell the opposite, right? Like that's not how it's supposed to be. But it's like actually from an emotional standpoint, from like just my heart, I'm like, that gives you more credibility because I don't want to take advice from somebody that to keep moving forward when they haven't had any kind of challenge. So like what would you say to that? Like with has there been any, often we don't hear from like therapists their own process. So maybe this could be an opportunity for you to express like how has that been for you, or was it just like I'm a therapist, I got this, or did something come up for you?
Well, yeah, I mean that's a good question. First of all, I cannot officially call myself a therapist because that would be considered illegal since I don't hold a license right now. but I can say I am a life coach. And there is a small difference between that. Life coaching is really walking alongside the person, give them tools, it's staying in the now. It's not digging into the deep issues of things. But sometimes just learning those tools helps the people unveil those things. So, yeah, I would say to your question is, um, this has all started because of my trials and tribulations that I've been walking through. Um, I've always been a person who's enjoyed walking along with people and helping them out. Um, I'm a great encourager. And so that's why I originally went through all the schooling and all that, is because I thought, well, I have something to offer to people. And instead, I went a different way. And so I thought, what does this look like? What can I do? Um, and take my hurts and all my accomplishments and move them into something new, which is Stop the Static Life Coaching.
That is so cool. So, can you share maybe a tool that helped you just shift? Because I'm sure, just in the humanness, that there was a moment that you're like, not what I wanted. And so, was there a tool or something that you implemented that helped you to go, wait a minute, I can look at this differently?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. Part of it was I did stumble for a little bit. I felt like my self-worth went in the toilet. And then I had to stop and think, wait a minute, who defines me? And I can't let other people define me because I am one of a kind. There's no one else out in this world like me, just like there's no one else in the world like you or anybody else who's watching this. And with that, I need to stand up and say, who can define me other than myself? And so just because I miraculously was only 1 point away from passing with a migraine, couldn't even tell you what was on there, um, I can't let that define me. I should be proud of, hey, I did it.
Mhm,
I was so close to passing.
mhm,
Um, but that exam doesn't define me. My human experience and my education and my characteristics are what should define me.
mhm. Well, and as a fellow migraine sufferer, it's they can be debilitating. And so I know on your channel on Stop the Static, you share some tips on those things, because those are the things that can stop us. Like I say to my students inside the studio, again, it's like, it's not because you're not talented or good enough. Often it's not that stops. Oftentimes it's the
Mhm,
it's the migraine or the stumbling block, the challenge, the broken down
mhm,
car, the thing, the upset. And so, what do
mhm,
we do in those moments so that we don't just throw away everything, on
mhm.
those moments? And so,
Right.
for you, you've shared now on your channel some of these things with like insomnia and some of that. So, do you have any tips for somebody, just quick things where, if something maybe you haven't yet shared, where if you have a big upset and disappointment in that moment, so that you don't just throw away everything, where you can
Mhm,
feel it, because you said you stumbled for a moment, but then also,
mhm.
is there anything in the moment that you have that you do?
Well, like I was saying, I had to stop and realize I can't let other people define me. I need to just be real with myself, and what does that look like?
Yeah.
So I would say for in the moment of those is, well, hold on a minute. What are the positive aspects? What do you have to contribute to others? Because we all have something to contribute. Let's face that. We all have something special and unique. And if it's nothing more than like whistling a tune, that's fantastic. If it's sharing a smile, that's great too.
Mhm.
So everybody has something they can share, whether they believe it or not. And that can define their uniqueness and celebrate the uniqueness of that person. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say dig into yourself and think, what can I do that's different than everybody else?
Right.
I've asked people that, and I've even had people say, "Oh, I can pick up things with my toes." Well, that's cool. See, not everybody can do that. So
Right.
celebrate those uniquenesses instead of being embarrassed by them.
Well, and I think that you do a really good job of that. It's really inspiring because you have said a lot of times, like, I don't edit my videos or anything. And not, different formats and different things require different things, and that's fine. But sometimes I hear actors, especially, will be the first to not get on camera because they're perfectionists, because they know too much about how the professionals do things. And so I tell them often, like, your struggle could be your strength, because the fact that you don't like editing, make that your thing and don't edit. And you do exactly that. And I really love that. It's like, then don't do that. You're not forced into doing something a certain way that somebody else is doing it. Like, maybe it wasn't your way to pass the exam the first time, or whatever the case is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're actually not just speaking from like someplace high on the mound. Sometimes I feel like life coaches or different people forget to include where your shortcomings were. So I think that that's really cool that you're saying, "Hey, I'm not exempt. I'm part
Mm-hmm.
of the stumbling as well."
Mm-hmm. Right,
Um,
right.
Let me see. I wrote something down here. Just looking, I wanted to see so I don't forget. Um,
Let me, while you're looking, I'm gonna,
yeah.
if you don't mind, explain a little bit about why I started Stop the Static.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So basically, what happened is I'm a Christian, and that doesn't deter me from wanting to help anybody who's not. I'm all for people. So, but my journey started where I started having this continuous, almost chant: stop the static, stop the static, stop the static. I could not figure out what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And when I literally found out that I was not able to renew my license and continue working as a mental health therapist, it came crystal clear. Stop the static life coaching. Use your experience to help others, not just your education. And
Mm-hmm.
stopping that static is literally stopping what the world perceives as okay
Mm-hmm.
and being okay with who you are and sinking that in. So stopping the static is just stopping listening to the world and leaning into your unique self. And that takes a lot of work. So that's what brings me to why edit. Be on the spot, be authentic, be real, have those glitches. So you know that life is a journey. And upon this journey, there are going to be glitches, there are going to be hard things, and it's not always polished or easy. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a process that I'm trying to teach people while teaching people how to use these tools.
That's so great. Yeah, it's so interesting how we run away from those moments of messing up. Like, I even just at that moment I was like, "Wait, what was I going to say? Oh, I forgot. Oh, let me look at my notes." And it's just those human moments where it's like, it's okay. You don't always have to know what to say. You don't always have to be like right on it. It's okay to have a moment of just being
Mhm,
human and remembering
mhm,
that. And it's so funny because as an acting teacher, that's like the moments that are the most interesting, but that's why we like act in life, because that's when we're inauthentic. Like, oh, I got to be somehow perfect now in this interview or something. And so I
mhm.
love that you're just bringing that genuine, like allowing people to just be who they are. So what do you, if you say that you're Christian based, and that's great, but that they don't have to be Christian. So who do
Mhm.
you think would be like your person? If somebody was like seeking a therapist, what would be the type of person that would be a perfect fit for you, or vice versa?
Right. Well, the perfect person for me would be someone who is actually wanting to do the work, use the tools. Sometimes it seems really silly. Deep breathing. That's the silliest thing in the world. Why would I want to do deep breathing? Why are you assigning me this? Why are you assigning me to laugh 5 minutes every day? It's someone who's willing to trust the process and to really want to dig into working on being in the now and changing some of those ways. I'm not here to change you. I'm here to empower you to be the very best by learning how to help yourself through those moments of sheer struggle or negative talk and things like that. So that's what I mean by, yes, I'm Christian and I'd be more than happy to help people in their Christian walk and journey, but I'd be willing to help anybody who's willing to want to stop that static in their mind and lean into who they are and work through some issues, because we all have issues in life, let's face that.
Yeah. And what would somebody expect to see as a result of working with you?
Well, first we would set some goals. What are you here for? What would you like to work through? Is it like, man, I have teenagers and they're driving me bonkers. I have a 2-year old and they're stubborn as all get out. I have a big life changing decision to make. I need help with that. I don't know about the loss of my parent or loved one, and what does my life look like after this. Pretty much anything to do with being a human being, I'm there to help. And so we would set goals, and
Mhm.
those are the goals you want to accomplish while being in there. And so the nice thing about life coaching is there's no set amount of time. If you want to do one like 3 hour plug through this problem, dissect it, what does it look like, where do you want it to be, and what does it look like when you're succeeded, then I'll give you the tools and tips and we'll go through for 3 hours and you're done. If you want to have just one session, have one session. That's the nice thing about life coaching. There's no diagnoses and stuff like that. So what they can look forward to is, what's your goal? You want to feel better. Here's your tools. And in the end, the success is you've
Mhm.
mastered these tools, and now you know how to work through other issues. And if you don't, that's okay. We're here too. We can work through other issues, because let's face it, life is messy. We all have issues. Sometimes we just need help with transitions. So it's not like a earth-shattering thing, but that's what a person can expect coming to a life coaching class. You can learn anything from how to make it through parenting to how to make it through transitions into being an elder person. Because that's a whole nother thing too. I mean, let's face it, I hear this all the time from elders. My mind is like I'm 20, 30 years old, and my body tells me otherwise. And so it's helping you celebrate you and your wisdom for that too, for the elderly. So that's what one can expect.
Mhm. And what I mean, I know you said as far as like missing that one point and all that's on the actual what do you call it? Uh,
And
credentials to be a
yeah.
therapist. What is it?
Mhm.
Yeah, yes, but so that's what made you be a quote unquote life coach.
Mhm.
Well, what made you want to even help people in the way of this at all? Like whether
Well,
it's
because
therapist or coach.
I have always found ways to think outside the box and not limit myself. That doesn't mean I don't stumble in this and that, but um I have a lot of human experience. And so to become a life coach, it was kind of that I have more to offer, and I can offer my human experience. I have gone through so much that I feel I can meet people at a different level than some other people.
Mm-hmm.
Did I
Yeah.
answer that question? I think I lost myself for a minute
Like
there.
what, like where did you, when you were a kid, did you want to be, uh
Oh, that's what you're saying. Well, yeah, so I've always loved talking to people, and I've noticed that the strangest of strange, because kids line up around me like there's no tomorrow. It's kind of funny. They call me the Pied Piper of children. But I've discovered that through talking to the parents and things like that, um, they will gravitate, and people just start gravitating towards me and just telling me their life stories. Didn't matter the age or what have you, whatnot. And so that made me feel like, okay, I'm a inviting person. I'm encouraging. And so I thought, well, where else can I use these talents? And then in life coaching.
yeah, makes sense. And is there an age range? Because I know you have a lot of experience with kids. Do you want to speak on?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I mean, I started off working with little people from as early as I could, and I worked with them at all different levels. And I've worked with parents because let's face it, where there's children, there's parents. And so I've had many different levels of experience with that. And so, no, there's not really an age limit, but this is online. So the only issue is it gets a little difficult for little people to come. And what I mean by that is like about 7 years old or younger, they're not going to get the full benefit. The attention span's not going to be there, and it's not going to be good. But generally, children from 8 years up all the way till you're 120, I got you. I can work with you.
As long as you can open up like a Zoom link, right?
Long as you can open up a Zoom link. And actually, we use Doxy, and Doxy's really simple. You just get the link, you click on it at your scheduled time, you type in your name, and there you are. So it's just as simple as clicking on a video to watch.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. I love it. Well, I love what you're up to, and I think it's good on a lot of levels because you're helping people, but also just on an inspirational level of like, I think sometimes people think that you have to, the minute a camera comes around, like you have to be perfect, and you don't. And being an acting teacher, I know that the most. And so just seeing that, like, no, you can get on, and there's people getting on, like therapists, life coaches, different people who are like, I'm not a person who gets on camera, but I'm doing it to share my gifts and to help people. And I think that's like the way that technology can be really powerful. So I just think it's cool
Yeah.
you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, social media is not my thing. I am not technically inclined. And so that's another piece of the non-editing as well, because I want people to know, hey, you can do it even if you're not technically inclined. I put things on. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know how I did that, and I can't do it again, and I don't always know how to respond to things. But um, it's just a matter of keep trying, keep learning, keep growing, and give yourself that space and the grace to grow.
Well, I just love it because I see people a lot of times on YouTube and stuff, and they all talk the authenticity thing, and I do too, even, because it not just because it's a buzzword, but because you're genuinely wanting people to be authentic. But I always find it funny when some of the people who are encouraging this authenticity have this entire, not that you can't be rich and be authentic, but it's this whole facade thing, and and they don't really show the flaws, and they don't show the stumbling blocks, they don't ever show the mess up, and yet they're talking about authenticity. So I just feel like you're like the genuine article, because I'm not saying you're flawed. You really show your
I'm
flaws.
flawed.
Saying
I have a
that.
lot of flaws.
You really I don't mean it like that. But I just mean like
Yeah.
you don't believe some of these people who are saying like, "Oh, be genuine," and then it looks like it's AI. all the time.
Yeah. Well, and I think again that's why I picked or was told from God. I'm positive He said stop the static. Um,
Mhm.
that's the whole process of stop the static. It's learning how to be genuine. But let's face it, a lot of times trying to be genuine, it's painful. You don't
Yeah.
want people to see that you have human um things happen. I mean, we all sneeze, we all cough, we all choke,
I don't.
hiccup, laugh, other things. We all do it. And to sit there and kind of say, no, that doesn't happen is not stopping that static. You got to lean into these flaws sometimes because that also makes you who you are. But that gives other people that space and grace to say, oh, they're struggling too. But they're doing it, they're working through this.
Well, you know what? And that's such a good point. And the thing is, too, like even just as you were saying that, I was reminded it's like it doesn't matter. Even if that's what's gonna get if you do the whole thing robotic just to do it and like you're sharing your gifts in that way. Not that everyone has to be on camera or do social media or something, but if there's something just that's fine too. That's another way to stop the static. It's like don't let that stop you either. Like, well, I just can't do it because I want to do this, but I can't do that. It's like all of that is the static. So if it
Mhm.
means photoshopping everything and like if that's going to be to stop the static, because there's no one size fits all. So it's like
No.
if that's what's going to make you feel good, do that too. Because I'm not going to say that I never edit. I edit stuff,
Right,
but, but
right.
again, that's the uniqueness and embracing what works for you. And I think that's one of
Hmm.
the biggest problems. Like for
Yes.
me, my challenges is like trying to do it like everyone else. Well, you can't. There's only one
Hmm.
you. You always say that, and I love that. So,
Hmm.
is there a way that you can just leave some people with that shift or like how? Because that's where I think the static is a lot of times for me and for other artists is too many ideas and like trying to do too many things at once. Like, oh, let me be the
Hmm.
person who doesn't edit while I'm also the person who edits or the person who does, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, that's a process for all of us because it looks different for everybody. Like I say, and like you said, I said. And so it's just what do you want to put out there for people? What do you want people to hear? Why are you even doing this? Because it's not necessarily an easy thing. I personally don't like social media at all. And so it's really a tough struggle. I love people. I just don't like being out there because I do get in my head of what do I have to offer? But um so I think for people to just try to be as genuine as you can, but even say, "Hey, it took me like a whole bunch of editing to do this, but here I am." To keep persevering, knowing that you have something to offer. But if you're doing it to, oh, I'm going to be rich, and um, to kind of inflate your head, if you will, a self, see, here comes my humanness, but to have that
Like seeking
self-serving
validation.
type thing, it's kind of like what just think about why you're doing what you're doing, why you're putting the content out there. Um, is it because you're on your own journey? And if that's the case, here's my journey. I want people to hear this, but I have to edit to do that to make myself feel comfortable.
Mhm.
Or it's not, so it's a self-fulfilling getting security and self-esteem, because if you're doing it to get self-esteem and get acknowledgement, then you got a little work to go. That's for anybody, because it's not easy and it's raw. It really is raw, the process, and we never know how long that process is going to take, probably the rest of our life on some of it.
Yeah.
um so if you want to be genuine and it takes editing, that's fine. But just make sure you know what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. Is it for kudos? Is it to earn a lot of money? Is it to really have a message for people? Those are some things you want to talk about. Is it because you want to be discovered? But here's the thing, you're unique in of yourself, so lean into that. What do you have to offer? It doesn't have to always be the different colored hair and the boisterous attitude, or to be seen or to be heard. And don't get me wrong, we need people like that too, but think about, it's just stopping and thinking about what is my purpose of all this.
That's so true. So, what do you think your purpose is of all this? Like, what's your mission in this? What do you want to give people?
Well, I want to give people the courage to walk their life, to be able to make mistakes and say that didn't work, to be able to kind of laugh. It's okay to laugh at yourself. um, let's face it, I look back at things and think how funny, how absolutely funny that was, that I thought this was so,
Mhm.
and it wasn't.
Mhm.
Or just how funny that sometimes words don't come out of my mouth appropriate. It's just to be able to lean into, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not here to do anything more than enjoy life, learn, and show people that it's a process and it's okay to learn. It's
Mhm.
okay to make mistakes, but be okay with yourself. That's the biggest thing, to really lean in and be okay with yourself. And it's a process for me, because there's some days where I'm like, ugh, I don't want to talk to anybody because I just seem to fumble so much with my words or my thoughts. But I
Mhm.
keep going because that's what it's about. Push through it.
So, one more thing, I'm curious to know what, with all the training and schooling that you had,
Hmm.
is there one thing that stood out to you that um, you didn't know before all that training? Because, a lot of people say, oh, I'm a life coach after zero training. And you've actually had all the training that would lead up to actual credentials to be a therapist, licensed therapist. So,
Hmm.
out of all that training, what would be one thing that you would say separates you, maybe that a regular life coach wouldn't have, that doesn't have that training, regardless of the
Well,
credential?
yeah, that's a good question, and that's a hard question because I don't know all the life coaches out there in the world and what their intentions are and stuff like that. But the one thing that I hold very near and dear to my heart is as to cause no harm. Why do I want to help people? And to make sure that it's as to cause no harm. There are a lot of people who go into the profession of helping and serving others. Partly it's to build up their own self esteem. Another is to have that sense of authority, and I can help. Um, and I really have always challenged people on looking at what the reasoning is behind that, because it causes more harm if you don't know what you're doing, or you're doing it to self impose self esteem and stuff. So, um, but as human beings are, some of us are better than others, and but that's okay because we're not all equal. We all have something to offer, but what I have to offer is I go out of my way to make sure there's as to cause no harm. I truly believe that is a key aspect. Um, and I'm open. We're not a fit for everybody. Not everybody's gonna like me, and I'm okay with that too.
Mhm.
Because not everybody's gonna like me. So, I want people to have the freedom to say this isn't working, and we move on. And that's why we offer a free consultation too, so we can see if there's a fit.
Yeah.
And instead of, oh, I can fix you, oh, I got this. Just because I have experience in education doesn't mean that I know how you walk your life and I know everything about you to be able to fix that.
Yeah.
So those are
So
some things I've learned.
so they can book a consultation and then through that get a sense of what it would be like to work with you.
Correct. Yeah. Because sometimes videos, even though I don't edit and stuff, they still don't tell about who I am. Right?
Yeah.
It's 30 seconds to 1 minute. And you might not like that. Sometimes those words don't come naturally to me, or I have pauses sometimes, or maybe you don't like the tone of my voice. Well, then you wouldn't be watching my videos. But you know what I mean? You might not want to be doing the work because I do assign a lot of homework, and it is very difficult for the person doing it. Like I said, sometimes 5 minutes every day of laughing or this and that. So there you go.
Love it. I think that you told your audience for sure and other audiences around the world. Hopefully this video gets out. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Just to help people, because the more there's an abundance of tools, but if you're not implementing them and if you don't have any guidance, what are they worth? So I think it's great that people could check out, consultation with you and see if you guys are a match to work.
Mhm.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to add?
No, I just thank you for interviewing me. And this section is going on to our website, Making Lemonade. And the reason why I came up with Making Lemonade is I want this to be um, a resource place for people to learn about other books, people who are out there trying their best to offer something to other people. And at Stop the Static, it is about stopping that static and making lemonade out of some of these tough life experiences. And so I want you to have the resources for um, other things too, not just life coaching, because let's face it, we need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to have clothes, we need to continue to keep our brains open and learning and growing.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you. I love it. I'm inspired. I'm excited to see where Stop the Static goes.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye, Jenny.
Bye.